guess we've all been in the industry for a while. Myself, it's about evolution. You know, we spoke about SD-WAN, IP optical integration, it's all evolution. Myself, SDH, the rise of IP, you know, the all IP networks, 2G, E1s, ATM, 3G, 4G, 5G, IP based. So it's a constant evolution. And I guess my own experience in Xantaro is service integration. We actually embrace the change. So we're not a vendor. We don't have the heavy investment in the R&D into these technologies. As the market moves, we have the ability to sort of move with the market. And it's a group of a lot of techies actually in the company who follow the market trends, who get their hands on the latest code, the latest technologies. We put it in the lab. We actually just get our hands dirty with it and really then consult with our customers, do proof of concepts and that kind of activity. So I guess evolution, where are we today? Well, layer 2, layer 3 VPNs kind of at a mature state. We're talking about the sort of rise of SD-WAN, the growth in that. You look at users, consumers of your networks. You have 4G, 5G, people on very fast broadband networks. The key thing for them is access to information from any device at any location. You'll hear these things all the time in the industry. So we understand our customer requirements. We understand how your consumers are actually evolving their requirements and what you need to sort of deliver for them. Of course, like vendors and ourselves as integrators, your business has challenges. You've got to deliver far more at lower cost, ensuring the business has higher profitability. You've got to stay ahead of competition, of course. You've got to be agile. You've got to be able to enable new services quickly. You've got to be able to stay ahead of competition. So, and of course the people, you've got to keep them at the top of the game, keep them up with the latest technologies and keep them well trained. So in summary, I mean, we've, like yourselves, will find that the common trend is you've got to keep on evolving the network. There's a constant investment in the network infrastructure and the people. So really, that's kind of how Xantaro works with their customers. And it leads on to what underpins what I was sort of saying earlier is we've got people, we're a technology company, but to work with our customers effectively, our value is really around complex, multi-vendor, multi-layer technologies. And we can talk about it with slideware, but the point of this presentation was really to show actually there's more to Xantaro than just sometimes what we put up in slideware. So the XT3Lab is where we bring this into reality. And the XT3, it's really just T-cubed, So the technology is, the 3 T's are technology, testing, and training. Gail touched briefly, I mean, we do have quite an extensive multi-layer, multi-vendor lab. It's physically based in Frankfurt, but accessible from any remote location. I mean, we have customers who will actually do something as simple as we need an MX router and we want to test software upgrades remotely. We'll have an engineer who's actually in the lab being that remote hands for them, but we can actually do something as simple as we just want to do some software upgrades, test it on your kit and just support us remotely, through to very extensive POCs. And I'll give you a few examples just to give you a feel for the technology areas we cover. Services, AAA servers, IMS, EPC, moving into security, next-gen firewalls, DDoS mitigation, IP MPLS, of course, a real core part of the work we do. Wireless transmission, so Wi-Fi access points, your wireless gateways, integrating that into your network, the usual sort of fixed mobile convergence, handover from your fixed to wireless network, that kind of thing, and optical transmission. So we really do sort of cover from layer 1 going up the stack into your IP services, and now increasingly around automation and orchestration, and Rob later on will touch a bit more about that. Testing, why we have this extensive lab, and it is constantly growing to the point where we did have to move out of our last facility and upgrade a little because it was either power or space, I don't know, but we did run out of it. But the point is, you look at data sheets, it might be a simple case of you want to buy a switch or a router or a firewall and you just want to stress test it. Is the data sheet telling you what's really possible with all the concurrent services you load on it? We can do that. Examples of the sort of test in the last 12 months is multi-vendor IP/MPLS network, and one of our customers wanted to enable QoS on that network, so they just wanted to configure QoS, and they wanted to actually test it running across a multi-vendor IP/MPLS network. We have the ability to do that. We didn't have one of the vendors. Hey, what's great is the customer actually bought a router from the third vendor that was part of that network. Another example, a customer of ours actually wanted to build a metro packet optical network. So yes, you can do that using IP/MPLS technologies, but they actually wanted the optical infrastructure anyway. How can we build this with a packet optical network, no layer 3 in the access network, but hand over then to our core layer 3 IP/MPLS network, and making sure that seamless service delivery is done. We did that, and it had a couple of vendors involved in that, and again, success, and that's actually gone through to a live deployment actually in London. So we do actually really use the POC area, and yeah, it has led to successful deployment, so quite proud of it. And then of course training. I mean, you guys, you invest millions, hundreds of thousands in technology, you then need to train, and we do actually not just standard technology training. So you may just say, actually, we've got a team of NOC engineers, we just want them to really understand the fundamentals of IP/MPLS, or we've got optical field engineers who are going to be looking after our fiber deployments. We need them to know how to use an OTDR. We can do those real basic things through to very custom trainings, yeah? So you may say, actually, we're building an IP/MPLS network, but we're only going to have layer 2 VPNs. Why go and do the sort of comprehensive full suite of vendor trainings? We can customize that. Yeah, and then workshops, we can do it remotely, on site, whatever's needed. So yeah, we can customize that to your requirements. Where we've got to today, we're already at the point, and we've been doing this in the last 12 months, is we have, well, a lot of vendors, we've already said that, but virtualization demos. So a few examples to give you a feel for some of the things already being done. Rob will then cover where we're sort of going, which may be of interest to you guys sort of going forward, but around virtualization, Contrail, just using Contrail to be able to so in the data center, just build your overlay network to be able to integrate that with OpenStack, to be able to then service chain, and within existing workloads to be able to spin up your services like firewalls, DPI. VMware NSX, so Xantaro is an NSX partner, so just bringing abstraction and overlay networking to your VMware environments. We've even got to the level of integration where a simple Juniper QFX 5100, we integrate that into the VMware NSX, where you kind of have that gateway then between virtual physical worlds. DDoS mitigation, this is very, very relevant to a lot of the customers we speak to today. If we look at Arbor, we've actually got the full Arbor proof of concept ready, can do that with any customers very quickly. So on the peak flow side, using the user interface to be able to analyze traffic flows. Once you've actually, we can actually, with our Ixia tester, generate attacks, volumetric or application, and then we can actually demonstrate how you can actually mitigate or actually just redirect the traffic. So, and we've actually been investing a lot of our own efforts in a Xantaro alternate solution where you've got Flowmon as your collector, and then A10 with their threat mitigation service. So we're very active in that at the moment as well. From a tester point of view, we've invested quite a large sum of money actually in the latest Ixia tester. So, as most service providers are moving to 100 gig cores, you've got to be able to test it. It's one thing having the tester, which we have, but we've also got the people who've been running the testers for a long, long time. So they really know how to get the best performance out and really stress test, put all the sort of performance tests that you need to put in. And of course, automation, a lot of talk on automation. Ansible is just one example of zero-touch provisioning, but we've got guys hands-on with Puppet, Chef, Foreman, and the like. So yeah, a lot of things already that we're demoing to customers. And on that note, I'll pass you over to Rob. Yeah,
we believe very much, the lab and the proof of concept will help us integrate systems. And I think we've shown a pedigree of being able to integrate optical and IP networks and getting the best, from both the knowledge in both of those areas. So one of the things that I took from some of the information we've heard today was about optical networks, having a flexible optical network where you can look at the effect layer and maybe see errors that are happening within the optical line systems, taking that information and then doing something with that, and maybe taking that into North Star, and maybe you can switch traffic around based on errors that you see increasing on line systems before you actually get a failure. So I know for environments that are looking to deliver 100% packets all of the time, that this sort of closed loop telemetry is something they're really interested in. And I think telemetry generally is something that all the vendors are really tuned into right now. How can we get more information about the queue depth on routers and make decisions based on that? So in order to make those decisions, maybe some of the configurations that we make have to maybe not be written via CLI, and those configurations have to be agile. So maybe one of the barriers to getting all of those tens of thousands of changes done very quickly is actually our ability to push stuff into CLI. So we're going to see things like PSEP pushing ephemeral LSPs in order to get the speed of transition, the speed of reaction, once we've learned what's going on in the network and we've made a decision we want to route traffic somewhere else. So what we're seeing is that we're moving away from layer 3 integration and moving more into manipulating APIs, providing APIs from network management systems, and how we can get the best out of networks. And that's really our focus and our aim and where we're moving towards. And the lab really is a facility for us to do that. And Vimal talked about a number of proof of concepts that we have based on automation. And actually, one of the things I was very impressed with, I'm pretty new to Xantaro, I've been here 2 months. They use the moving of the lab as an excuse to develop a collection of open source systems to actually provision all of the lab equipment. So all they had to do was rack and stack it, and instead of spending hundreds of command lines, or actually in this case maybe thousands, of just automating all of that. And there's a very good slideware about how we did that, including the DNS, reverse DNS, and all of these things. It just takes everything into account. So we believe in automation, and I think it's key to where we see our success in the future, moving to that DevOps model. And I think that customers want to run networks hotter, but they also want that 100% reliable packet delivery. So again, this feedback system of the telemetry is very important. So what we decided to do with the lab is really move that. As we saw service providers we're going to be developing services with VCPE. They were maybe going to run network function virtualization in the POPs and in data centers, and then maybe extend their services all the way into Amazon. So we thought, if this is where service providers are going, this is where they want to go, then perhaps we need to align our lab to that challenge and start working on that. So one of the things we've done is we've moved our some equipment into a carrier-neutral data center. We've got layer 2 interconnects and layer 3 interconnects, so we're members of Links. So we have Links connectivity, we've got upstream transit connection, and really we've got the capability of connecting to cloud service providers. And I think this is where we saw an opportunity for us to start solving some of those challenges about how we could connect to cloud service providers. And in order for us to advise on this, we felt we needed to implement this and to do it in order to be that safe pair of hands for you to work with. So ideally, where we see ourselves is the proof of concept will go all the way into the cloud, and we'll have virtual appliances into the likes of Amazon Web Services and other cloud service providers. There was a couple of demos that I think are a couple of systems that we developed. One was a network monitoring platform that monitors tens of thousands of endpoints. And this was done with a combination of open source software and also Xantaro written code. And I think the thing that impressed me with this is the back end of all of this was written and developed in a way that is carrier grade. So you cluster the servers. When you do software upgrades, you can actually move workload away, upgrade some of the servers, and then move workload back. So this high availability, we understand it. You know, this is what we're here for, as service providers. This is the key to what we do. So in this particular solution, the customer wanted near real-time monitoring. So they wanted to look at what was going on the traffic on the network in maybe a second increments. And they also wanted, instead of a 5-minute, if you look now, even 30 seconds seems high in terms of reacting to states of what's going on in the network. But from a network monitoring viewpoint, 30 seconds is quite low. Normally we see people monitoring SNMP at 5-minute intervals. But I think as telemetry, I know Juniper's doing a lot of things in the telemetry space. We're going to see those times, the granularity really reducing on there. So we need that ability to develop systems to handle all of that data and then respond to it. And another very interesting project was the virtual EPC, where we see, you know, traffic levels increasing to the point where we need to move equipment to the edge. So we need flexible infrastructure to do that with a low space and power footprint. So again, I'm not an expert in this area, but if there's anyone that's interested in EPC, then we can engage with you on that. We'd love the opportunity to speak to you about, you know, your requirements, what you do, and some of the interesting projects that you have. So we look forward to having those conversations.